Let's go to Claire McCaskill, former United States Senator Claire McCaskill, who has not only been watching these proceedings unfold along with us today, she's been in touch with some of her former colleagues and friends who were there at the proceedings, including in the rotunda. Claire, what have you been seeing and what have you been hearing?
Well, I think really an important point to make and underline it and put an exclamation point behind it is that in Washington, most of my former colleagues know full well this had nothing to do with the weather. Yeah, it was in the 20s, but it's been in the 20s before. I, along with others who've talked about it, sat out in a very cold inaugural in January of 2009. This really was about Trump wanting to control the image, maybe worried about his hair, but really worried about crowd size and whether or not the crowd size would be big enough with the cold weather to support the ego that he has behind that particular metric. So what everyone was talking about, one text I got from a senator said, unifying my bleep, and I'm not saying the word. Another one said, same song, different verse. Another one said, low energy and 100% political. But the overriding theme from everybody I've talked to is how he disrespected the MAGA crowd. The MAGA crowd is stuck over in an arena, and there's only 20,000 people that could even fit in there. And the rest of them came to town and spent a lot of money. And frankly, he didn't really care about them. He put the billionaires before his cabinet on the dais. And that's what everybody was astounded by, that there seemed to be no, and even in the second rambling speech he gave down in the visitor center, those people in that room weren't the MAGA faithful. They were donors. They were wives of congressmen. They were spouses of congresswomen. They were not what you'd see at a rally. I think the reporters that are on site would confirm that. So he never really thought about the people who put him there. He thought about, what can you do for me now? The MAGA faithful got him there, but now the people who can do something for him are those folks that were sitting right behind his family on the dais. And that's the people that control the algorithms and social media around the globe.
Claire, I have to tell you, the speech in Emancipation Hall is still going.
Of course it is.
It's getting to be Castro-y in here. He started off with talking about the January 6th committee, a string of falsehoods about the committee having deleted evidence, which didn't happen. He said that had there been 500 troops at the Capitol, which Nancy Pelosi made sure didn't happen, then January 6th would have never happened. And by the way, it was 1 million people, and he has great pictures of it. I mean, just a string of falsehoods. And now he's been rambling about the border for a long time. We've seen Mike Johnson and J.D. Vance standing just behind him in matching Trump outfits, who keep laughing, appearing to try to create the impression that all of these things that he's saying that are sort of nonsensical are a joke. So we are getting a visual of what it means to be sort of a Trump supplicant, even among the people who are at the highest levels of the Republican power structure around him. I feel like it's not on the Republican side. It's easier to be cheering for a guy at a rally than it is to be standing there while the guy's giving however long a speech, rambling about stuff that's not true, and you have to pretend the whole thing's funny. Yeah,
and you notice that Melania was smart enough to get a chair. I think she kind of knew this was going to be a venting session of a lot of his nonsense. But I got to say, I will say this about my former colleagues in the Senate. They are hyper-focused about not getting distracted about what he says, but rather every day, I think, hopefully, being disciplined about what he does in terms of this landmine of broken promises that's going to occur. And also, the other thing is that he's not going to be helping those folks that got him there. And I think hopefully they've learned that we need to ignore a lot of the stuff he says and pay much more attention to the stuff he does.
That's exactly right. And we will not take our eye. In terms of the one thing that he said that I'm definitely going to stick with, it was his line at the rally, the pre-inaugural rally last night, where he said to the crowd, quote, "I will act with historic speed and strength and fix every single crisis facing our country." That's one thing that he said that I'm definitely going to do a lot of reminding about as we head into the real world and the start of this administration. Claire, thank you. I know we will be back with you.